Welcome to Thriving Moms of Autistics podcast, a free resource for moms raising young autistic children. I am your host, Dr. Christina Wilson. I created Thriving Moms of Autistics after years of experience working with families and having my own autistic child. I coach moms of young autistics one-on-one to tap into their strengths, create a supportive community, set firm boundaries, and raise their autistic child with confidence. Subscribe to the podcast and check out the earlier episodes so you don't miss a thing. Now, let's get to it.
Hi, Mom. We live in a problem-oriented society where people tend to focus on mostly the negative, and it makes it really hard for us to grow as individuals. And one of the things that I love about positive psychology is that we don't focus on what is wrong with us. We focus on what is right so we can get through the challenges of life. What autistic moms don't know is that there is a potential game changer. Okay. When dealing with those meltdowns, transitions, or even the unexpected stuff. So there is a potential game changer. Don't you want to know what that is? So in this episode, we explore how being strength-centered helps moms of autistics grow and overcome all those challenges. So it's almost like our very own superpower. Superpower? Sign me up. So find the full transcript for this episode at thrivingmomsofautistics.com/96. And share the podcast with other moms to help them grow. And also further your reach by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. I appreciate you. So let's talk about how to get that well-being boost by shifting your focus and using your innate superpower. So when I became a therapist, nearly 3 decades ago, there was this shift in the field at the time, and I was still pretty new. I had only been practicing for a few years. And they introduced this idea of asking people about their strengths. And when we were doing evaluation, so they wanted to know what people did well. Now, I was still a kid, basically, and to be honest, I was pretty green at the time. Still had a lot to learn, but I wondered why such an emphasis was being placed on this. I mean, after all, we wanted to get, to identifying the problem and all that came with that, then that's what we needed to do to move forward, right? Actually, the strengths question was quite brilliant. Positive psychology was very new at the time, but they were really onto something. Now, the idea to identify your strength, to grow your strength, to use them when the hard stuff came around. So that was the main idea. Now, the problem was when you ask someone to identify their strength. Oh my goodness. It is very difficult for them to do that, to even identify one strength. That is so common. We can list all of our weaknesses, like it's nobody's, boom, 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 boom. We can do that easily, all of us. That is one of the reasons why I have embedded this into my work. The idea of the strengths, the strength component, I've embedded that into all my programs. Because the research supports it for one, but it just is important. It is a game changer. So, how can moms learn more about their innate strength? If it's something that's so difficult to figure out or to identify, or, um, just how do you do that? Well, first of all, we're born, all of us, every single one of us, we are born several strengths. Whether we're aware of them or not, they're there. However, you have to be aware of those strengths if you want to grow them and use them more effectively. So I help moms with that very thing. So to get you started, here are some questions that I want to ask. So you might want to write them down. Okay. I want you to ask yourself these questions that will get you thinking about your personal strength. Okay. So the first one is, can you recall a time when you felt particularly proud and how you managed a very challenging situation with your child? So what strengths did you exhibit during that time? Or better yet, how did you help your child through it? Because that's going to give you a clue as to where your strengths lie. The second one is, how do you show your love and support to your child that is unique to you? And the last is, when do you feel most confident and capable as a mother? Think about those times when you felt the most confident and capable as a mom. So you probably won't immediately identify your strength, or you might. However, these are questions that you want to write down and you just want to marinate in for a bit. And I also recommend that you ask someone who knows you well to help you answer them, because that's a great way to do it. Okay. So what do strengths look like in moms of autistic? Well, one of my strengths is related to prudence. Now, I know, that's been dirtied up by society, right? Oh, you're such a prude. Um, but I'm excited about that. I love that I'm prudent. I've always been cautious about everything for as long as I can remember. Remember, these are innate strengths, right? So, that I've always just been this cautious person who just thought things through, and I analyzed potential issues before I acted on things. Now, it drives my husband nuts, but he knows that it has saved our vet many, 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 many times. So I think he does appreciate it at the same time. As moms, we know our children very, very well. And I tend to take this into consideration when I'm making even the most basic decision. So, for example, I know that taking my son to more than one store in one day might be a recipe for disaster. The meltdown style disaster. So I usually think ahead and analyze potential danger. And this is one of my strengths. Also, I only have to learn once, usually, sometimes a couple times, because I'm so motivated to be more prudent, to keep my peace and to keep my child's peace and help him maintain that, because it's really important. I don't want to set him up, for things. So if I can get out ahead of it, good. So perhaps your strength, humility, or social intelligence, or even perseverance, just to name a few. whatever it might be, you can grow. You can grow each your strength. And you can use those strengths when various challenges arise. I hope this helps. And I look forward to our time next week.
Thanks for listening to Thriving Moms of Autistics podcast. Be sure to leave a review and tell other moms of autistics about the podcast. Let's support each other. Find the full transcript for this episode at thrivingmomsofautistics.com. And be assured, you are not alone in your journey.